Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
But I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer.
And you can't stay off the weed.
This guy's such an idiot here.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Like an improv conversation. Improversation.
I don't know. It's a lot of money. You probably don't know if he's going to be at that same.
Old.
He's just too old. Look at her. Too old. Welcome back to another Improversation, anyone. We were just talking about, we had a chat with Stephen Ellis, who's going to be on the show later today. We'll plug him in about 15, 20 minutes. We talked about a lot of NHL news, but we were just going over the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins contract. 5.5, I believe, just under 5.5 for 8 years.
I thought it was 6.5, so maybe we should fact check that. We don't have an Oz in the studio.
Yeah,
today.
no Oz today, so
It's
we're
really
going to have
killing my flow. I was going to say my feng shui, but that doesn't make any sense. Dude, I just tried to Google Oz. I just Googled Oz instead of what I was trying to Google.
Our minds are all over the place today. We're kind of running. Well, I'm running on no food, barely any drink. I got a little bit of water left, but we'll see if we'll make it through. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to another Improversation, your end of the week feel good show. Can you just tell I just read a script? If you guys are new to the show, remember to
Smash, smash, smash.
pretty much just like how I did it there. It's really hard. You can always hear it come through. And like and subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Leave a comment or a review. We encourage any and all types. Follow us on our social media channels. At Improversation Pod on Instagram and TikTok. At Improversation P on Twitter.
It's actually 5.125 million per year. So you know what?
Oh, you know what? That's actually
It's not
that
horrible.
bad.
It's not that bad. Like, I roasted a lot of people for that contract. You know, Dale was one of those people on Instagram.
Dale, yeah. I think we came to a conclusion. Maybe we kind of got to get rid of Instagram. Can't get into fights with people on Instagram.
Dude, I live for Instagram fights. What am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, you're not wrong. One of the best parts about Instagram was all the videos going around Sunday night, Monday. The Azzurri, Italy, are champions of Europe.
I mean,
defeating England in a penalty shootout, just like in 2006 when they won the World Cup. They gave up an early goal. A center back tied the game late, and then they won on penalty kicks.
Not just a center back, an absolute legend, Italian legend.
You play to win the game.
You play to win the game, and that's what they did. They didn't give up.
Bonucci scored 2 crucial goals and 2 crucial penalties in that tournament. And he's a fucking center back. Not only was he like just the best stay-at-home defender you can have, him coupled with Chiellini, but Bonucci played every single game. Chiellini was injured for a couple of the games.
Yeah, he left the first game and then or the first or second game, and then he came back in the round of 16.
Like I was screaming out Bonucci for Ballon d'Or because that guy was fucking on fire, man. Like he was
great
just
tournament.
Locked in, dialed in, and yeah, I mean, it's been great. It was pretty. We got the Italian jersey over here.
Yep, Dorossi, shout out.
Daniele. Yes, him sliding on the table.
Sliding on the tables.
I mean, the celebrations from the team, from the fans have been unbelievable. You know, part of me does feel a little sorry for England for, you know, how shit went down and all the pressure that was on them and stuff, but I don't really care at the same time.
Yeah, it must suck to lose at home after going up 2 minutes into the game. Luke Shaw, just terrible defending by Italy. They just fell asleep. They kind of collapsed, didn't really know what happened by the looks of it. I was kind of in shock. Everyone I was watching the game with was in shock. It was like, what just happened? It's 2 minutes into the game. We're down 1-0, but perseverance, adversity, Italian-style football,
it's
never give up.
It's the first time I've watched Italy soccer and in a major tournament like this and thought to myself, I really am confident that they're going to win the whole thing.
2006 was the last time. 2012 did pretty good. They went to the final, but they got their ass whooped by Spain 4-0.
Yeah, they did.
4-0, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
it's just unbelievable.
Awesome.
They played very well all tournament.
Well, from missing the World Cup in 2018, and then since then, September 2018, they have not lost a game.
It's
not lost a game.
They're on like a 34 game winning
Something
streak
like that,
or something crazy, which is unbelievable. So, kudos to them, congrats, and I can't wait to go to Italy one day and party.
Ah, man, I wish I can go back to Italy. Like the videos from Italy and Rome, Milan, Sicily, just all over the whole country, like Napoli.
Friends and family who live there right now. I mean, watching their Instagram stories are just driving me nuts. Like, I would love to be there.
They might still be partying. It's been, Wednesday?
Still
past
videos,
future?
So
it's wild.
Wouldn't surprise me.
What else is new, Mike? Like, this is really not much. We both had busy weeks, so we're this is like the true improvisation.
Yeah.
I came in here running hot from work today.
Oh, yeah.
Got here about 10 minutes. I was like, we got Steven coming up. I got to set it up, and let's just go. Let's just fire it up.
Yeah, that's really what we're doing right now. I don't know. What else is new?
Well, we did. You did make a joke last night when we were talking. We were on Instagram, kind of going back and forth. And I forget, I think I had sent you a post about the Sopranos movie that's coming out. The Many Saints of Newark is coming out in October. And a trailer dropped about 2-3 weeks ago now. So hardcore mafia fan pages and stuff like that have been breaking down the trailer. It does look phenomenal.
Looks unbelievable.
I'm so happy that Michael Gandolfini is playing Tony. He's taking after his dad, the late James Gandolfini.
And he looks bang on. I mean, he looks identical to him. So.
They're doing a really good job at casting. So that's how this came.
Exactly how
how this came up. There was, I forget the actor's name, but it was the actor who's going to play Sal Bompancero, Big Puth.
Yeah.
Puth.
Uncle Puth.
And the guy they casted for the role looks incredible. So I'd sent it to you, and
it looks a lot like.
And our friend said it's like, wow, that's really good casting. And he had said, I don't think I look like anyone. This was Oz, by the way, that it said, I don't think I look like anyone. And I had said that I've been told in the past, I look like Kal Penn.
and if
you guys don't know who Kal Penn is, it's Kumar from Harold and Kumar.
Yes, correct. And I overwhelmingly agree. And I've heard it for several years. And you know what? I mean, if you look at the picture, even the GIF or GIF or whatever the fuck they're called, when you showed them, when you sent that, dude, that even the mannerisms that he has, Kal Penn that he has is so much. I mean, they're so similar to Gio. They have the same skin color. Like, I mean, I just said
we're totally different race. It's because I got dark, I tan.
You're not that far off geographically, buddy.
No, we're not. Yeah,
and neither am I. So I'm Greek and Italian. So.
I do have darker skin than you. So yeah,
and you do. You have like that all. He's got the olive oil skin too. I mean, listen, So I said to Gio, I said he's the Italian version of Kal Penn, and I called him Kal Penne.
Kal Penn.
Because I don't know, I thought it was a funny joke, and I thought Gio's new alias should be either Kal Penne or Sal Penne as the
Cal or Sal,
the Italian doppelganger for Kal Penn, who's an absolute legend. So.
Kal Penn. So I gotta take these screenshots because
you can't do it clean shaved. Like you gotta get.
So what about this one?
Yeah, like that's perfect. I mean, if you do a side by side with him there, even there,
me with like the facial expressions. Okay, so let me get that. And so which way is he looking? He's looking to his left, right? Yeah. If I'm going that way, he's looking to his left. So he's like. A little bit of dead air, but we'll go side by side.
But you're doing too much eyes there. Do a little less eyes.
A little less eyes, so just like...
No, a little less eyes. There you go.
That's hilarious.
Who do I look
throw
like?
that up.
Anyone? No, not really.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get the people to write in or something. But did we want to look up like a line and maybe just kind of do like a side by side? Sure. Like just something to throw online. Something to give.
This your bush?
Is this your bush? It's like no thanks. I don't really feel like getting stabbed tonight. So maybe can we pull up the script or something like
Harold and Kumar script read?
I wish we had Oz today. Harold and Kumar.
It's okay.
Script.
We'll keep it going.
We'll manage.
You're a fast typer, and I can keep it busy.
Do you think they'll have the script online? Transcript. Okay. So, what is this? The very
Billy Boy.
Oh yeah, this is okay. Let's. You know what? Let's. Tell me when to stop.
They start in the apartment building. Okay, keep going.
Just scrolling down.
Stop.
Okay. Let's see. That'll sufficiently sedate the patient.
Oh my god, this is the best. Fucking
so this is Ryan Gosling.
It's Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds.
Sorry. Yes.
But why?
So I guess I can be Kal Penn here.
No, there's been a mistake. What Dr. Lee is trying to...
Oh, okay, yeah. No, there's been a mistake. What Dr. Lee is trying to say is that we need to sedate the patient, or he could go into cardiac arrest. And I think that's you. Who's
All
this?
right, I'll get the anesthesiologist.
Hang on a second, nurse. What we should probably use is marijuana. That'll sufficiently sedate the patient for surgery.
Marijuana? But why?
We don't have time for questions. We need marijuana now. As much of it as possible. Like a big bag of it.
But doctor, we don't have marijuana in this hospital.
Shit. Oh shit, this guy's gonna die.
Okay, so that just sums up the movie in general.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. So we'll try and do a little side by side with that. So maybe, you know what, we'll just jump into our interview with Stephen Ellis. We'll get that all set up.
For people who don't know, Ryan Reynolds did a little cameo in that movie because of his time doing, what's that movie called?
Waiting?
No.
Have you seen that movie? Waiting's a pretty good movie.
There's another one. It's he's like a frat dude. His name in the movie is the name of the movie. And
Van Wilder.
Yeah, Van Wilder.
Wilder, yeah.
So Kal Penn was like an Indian exchange student in that movie. Ryan Reynolds, Van Wilder, takes him under his wing and he basically creates another Van Wilder out of Kal Penn. And he's like an Indian exchange student who has an Indian accent. Movie's hilarious, but they just decided to do this cameo together because
is that like an actual fact? Like, I didn't know it. Like,
I mean, Ryan Reynolds has a 2-minute role in that movie, so there's no other reason he would take a role like that.
I mean, yeah, because when was that movie made? I think that movie was made probably 2005.
Probably
2005,
2005, 2006, probably around then.
Let's look that up.
We were maybe a little too young. 2003.
I remember seeing it in like grade 9. 2004.
2004.
Yeah, that's about right.
Because we saw it when I remember watching
only 11.
it when we were young. We were really young.
Yeah,
so.
like grade 8, so probably like 14, 15, yeah.
Not even. I was 12 going into high school, so.
Yeah. Were you that smart? I mean, you were valedictorian.
I wasn't that smart. I was just young. My birthday's late.
Just a little baby in high school.
Sometimes.
All right, so let's get into our interview with Stephen Ellis. For those of you that are new to our show, Stephen Ellis is a friend of ours who works for the Hockey News by Sports Illustrated, or with Sports Illustrated, I should say. And, you know, we talked to him about Seattle, the Habs, Duncan Keith, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, as we alluded to at the beginning.
A wealth of knowledge in the hockey world. And if you ever have any questions about anyone under the age of 10 going into the hockey draft in the next 10 to 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, the 2026 draft.
He's the guy to talk to. So he knows a lot. He's a very knowledgeable guy. And I thought we had some pretty enticing questions for him today.
Absolutely. So without further ado, Stephen Ellis. All right, we should be good to go. Stephen Ellis from the Hockey News. Welcome to Improversation. We know you're a longtime listener, friend of the show, but welcome to this reincarnation of the podcast, good sir.
I'm happy to be back, and I love the set you guys have.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's a little different. Well, obviously, we got the red lights on for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes, we wanted to extend our condolences because I know it was... I mean, I don't know. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's jump right into it.
Let's
how
get
you
into
feeling
it.
after the Stanley Cup final?
Well, it's been a long time since I was a fan of the Canadiens, so, but I'll say it was kind of fun to still see them to be involved, and like that was my first time covering the Stanley Cup in person. So I wasn't there for Tampa, but it was still really cool to be able to see everything kind of going on there. And of course, you know, it may have not been the closest playoff series we've ever seen, but it was one where I think no matter what, Montreal fans just had to be excited that the team made it there. Like I didn't expect them to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the fact that they got to the Stanley Cup final this year is pretty incredible, and it saved a lot of jobs there. But
that's true.
You know what? It was still really cool to be able to see them do that because it's like no one expected that. I still thought it maybe be another 5-6 years because if I'm looking at like which Canadian team I think wins the Stanley Cup next, it's not Montreal.
You know
it's
what?
Not Toronto.
I feel like us three have had a conversation about this in the past too, where we asked you that question specifically, which Canadian team do you think will win the cup first? I don't think any of us said Montreal, would even make the cup final. So
I'm still going to Ottawa, but the Montreal, hey, you know, there was no reason to be too disappointed, I think, with Montreal. Like a lot of fans are saying like, oh, this sucks. Like, oh, the millions and millions over the cap for stuff, that conversation needs to be just murdered.
I agree.
Sent to the sun. I hate hearing about it. It's like, you know what? Any team could have been over the cap.
Exactly.
Most teams actually are over the cap during the playoffs.
Yep.
Right.
It's just, the 18 million over the cap. It's like they didn't break any
rules, and we've mentioned it on our show as well, and everyone is pretty aware of this now, but Tampa allegedly was the only team to bring this to the NHL and say,
bingo,
this is a loophole, we got to get out of this. They all shut them down, And it's like Mike said a couple episodes ago, you get what you get, you reap what you sow.
I mean, had they not tried to mitigate the situation, maybe they had that plan for a while that they might have to do something like that. And they tabled the offer, right? Maybe we should change this rule. Had every other team decline it first so that they could say, okay, fine, then this can't come back on us after. And it shouldn't. And I agree with you. I'm sick of talking about it too, because, they were just a better team. Like you said, any team could have done the exact same thing.
Yep.
The Leafs were very close to having a similar situation as Tampa, and look where they ended up. So
here's my argument. If you take Kucherov and you take someone else, you take Hedman, you take Stamkos, you take one of those guys out of the lineup with Kucherov, does the Tampa Bay Lightning still beat the Montreal Canadiens? Absolutely 100%, in my opinion.
Every day of the week.
It doesn't really matter in the end.
Yeah. Well, we won't bother you with cap talk anymore. I'm going to cross that off the list right away. I didn't even really have much to say about it, but I have a good feeling Tampa could be in the finals again next year, which is kind of shocking. Even if they lose all these guys, they'll find a way to do it. You mentioned Ottawa as the first Canadian team, and there is news all over the NHL right now, so we're kind of going to go in pieces for every little big piece of information, but the Ottawa Senators hire Pierre Maguire, and they bring him in a front office role, senior vice president of player development, I believe it is. Initial reaction, I had woke up to that news, and I was like, rubbing my eyes. I'm like, am I reading that right? Like the Pierre Maguire Tokarski.
I thought it was an alternate universe. I thought I was dreaming. I needed to wake myself back up, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Steven, what are your thoughts on it?
It's something where a lot of people have been talking about this being a possibility that he'd get back into being in a management role, and the rumors about him like turning down previous roles so he could finish out his contract. And of course, he had a son, he kind of wanted to wait till he moved out and then kind of got his life going and stuff like that before he did anything like that. A lot of people will say like, oh, he wasn't qualified. It's like, who are you to say who's like, I'm not someone to say you're not qualified. Like you can't talk about someone else's qualifications. It's more like this is such a specific role that you don't see in the public. So like, this is not something where his role, like, you're going to be like if a GM makes a trade and then that player doesn't pan out, you'll see what happens there. Yeah. But if this guy ends up saying, no, we should pass on this guy in the draft or whatever, like things like that, like, that's something that no one's going to see except the people involved in the team.
Right. So how can anyone evaluate someone in a position like that?
It's like people having such strong feelings about that role, like whether or not it was a good call or not, is like, it seems like a dumb conversation. It's like when you get the people who talk about like someone being good in the room. How do you know?
Exactly. That was my big argument about Jumbo Joe. This guy's the best guy to have in the room. Now, to be fair, he's had several teammates come out and say he's a really good locker room guy. But yeah, I don't fucking know.
We don't.
It's like when the captains get announced, people have really passionate debates and big conversations about who the captain is. Why do you care?
Yeah, I mean, me and Mikey have had arguments about that, so we're at the forefront of those conversations. I
was thinking about that.
But you do make a great point.
There's a couple things like about the captaincy. One, you want it to be someone who can be the face of your franchise. You can sell a lot of jerseys with the C on it if it's someone who's popular, likable, good with the media and everything like that, a fan favorite. But at the same time, like in a lot of cases, you'll hear guys that say like, this is the best guy we have on the team in terms of like working with everybody, making everyone feel happy and excited. A guy who would be good captain material that doesn't become a captain and things like that. It's like, guys, stop. And when it comes to the Pierre Maguire's thing, it's like, like we're not going to be able to see the direct actions he takes to make the team better. The one thing I'll say is he knows his players. We know that already. A lot of people don't like him in media, but this guy does know his stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a completely different role.
Yeah, completely different role, but he does know these people, and he's involved in the game in really deep ways. And it's funny, like how a lot of people who just truly respect the guy more than anything, but you won't see that in the public because you get a lot of people who say they don't like his commentary. Yeah. The running joke is that he knows like everything about everybody.
Well, that's it.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want as on your side, right? Someone who knows a little bit about everything about everyone. So go ahead.
There's a lot of situations where I look at it and say, yeah, he says some stupid things from time to time.
I love it.
Especially like there's a lot of things that he's just makes some odd comments, but it's like, again, this guy knows his stuff. Now I will point out that there's been a lot of stories about guys like Jaromir Jagr. One of his favorite goals of all time was when he was able to go and point at Pierre Maguire, who was chirping him, and just like of all the big important goals that Jagr has scored in his 235-year career, he mentioned something he scored because of Pierre Maguire chirping him as one of the biggest goals of his career. That's a weird one. There's been a lot of stories about guys who didn't necessarily respect him as a thing, but this is one where, you know what, this is a totally different situation now, 20-something years later.
Absolutely.
You know, let's see how this works. But at the same time, no one really should care who that guy is, who picks that role on any other team.
Right.
It just happens to be someone that's notable.
And that's the thing, right? Like Pierre Maguire has always been sort of like a hockey insider. Like all these hockey radio shows and stuff, they're calling Pierre to get the inside scoop, right? He's like always been that guy. So if I'm a hockey organization, an NHL team, why wouldn't I want that information just for myself? Like that's how I see it. They're basically internalizing that information that Pierre has for themselves. And I mean, they're just locking it up so only they get that info and no one else does. And I think it's a pretty smart move for them, to be honest. So
yeah.
I mean,
again, I know there's a lot of jokes have made about this team not knowing what they're doing, but I do trust that they know what they're doing in this situation.
Yeah,
because it doesn't sound like this was a quick we're going to sign you after meeting him 2 days ago. There seems to be a lot of real energy behind this being a good thing. So yeah, Ottawa Senators, there's not a lot of reasons to get excited about the team in terms of their decision making in a lot of cases, but in this one, I feel like they did their homework.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason why Pierre Maguire's name shows up in a lot of conversation all the time.
Exactly. And yeah, he was up for a couple GM jobs a couple years ago, like you had alluded to, and I read today Pierre Dorion they've been speaking, and Melnyk and Maguire, the three of them in tandem, have been speaking since about mid-May, right? Like he probably figured out the NBC deal is not going through with the NHL, then they completely lost it. So he's like, I got to find something else to do. He's always wanted to get back in the game. Kind of on the flip side of GMs that might have some inside information that we don't know about, what do you think Kenny Holland was thinking, taking Duncan Keith on a full salary at 38 years old? Now, there's a bunch of different ways to go with this conversation. You could look at the trade, kind of what Edmonton had to pay. What are you still getting out of Duncan Keith? Now they're connecting the dots with Chicago and Seth Jones. And there's a lot to make out of this, but he has been at the forefront with Nugent Hopkins and that big contract and Duncan Keith. So, Mike, I'll let you take it from here.
Something I wanted to mention was the Ryan Nugent Hopkins contract. I don't like it personally. I feel like, Steven, you're kind of a guy that would back a contract like that. I don't know why. I just
don't accuse him of anything.
Well, I'm not. I'm curious to know your opinion on it because I thought it was a pretty big dog shit contract. Like that's a long term for a guy like Ryan Nugent Hopkins who's had maybe one season with 60 points or something, or 80 points or whatever.
Well, so with Nugent Hopkins, that's one where I don't hate the deal at all, actually. And
I told you.
You nailed that one. Basically, what Edmonton needs to lock down these guys that do play crucial roles. He's not going to be a guy he doesn't get a ton of points. He actually, before this year, he had a couple of 60-point seasons in a row. I believe he had 69 points 2 years ago specifically. So he's still a nice player to have. But this is someone who you want the core guys to stick around. He is someone who is viewed as a core guy. So I actually don't mind the deal at all because it's only like $5.5 million, or no, below $5.5 million per season, I'm pretty sure, for long term. So if the cap does go up in a few years, that contract's going to look pretty good if he's still getting 50 points a year.
And what I'm also taking, sorry to cut you off, Stephen, but what I'm taking out of that as well is, I don't think Kenny Holland thinks he's going to be there for the next 8 years, right? He's probably thinking, you know what, let me just get this guy signed. I need to get him signed. Let me bring my dollar value down because I need it for whatever I'm going to plan to do for the next 2-3 years, and then let someone else deal with it.
Who's going to take him at 5.5 at 34 years old?
You never know.
I just don't see a market for him.
There might be.
There might still be. There's still a lot of things about his game. He's still a really reliable two-way player. He could play center and the wing. It seems like you can kind of fit him with anybody, and he'll make it work. So he's not going to go put up behind numbers. But if you have to trade him at 32, 33, I think there might be a lot of suitors. Because remember, it's a flat cap now, but that will go up.
It will go up. Yeah. So I had an argument with someone on Instagram about he was trying to compare.
Of all places, on Instagram. Well,
Listen,
sorry,
Steven.
I don't use Instagram myself anymore, so I just kind of forget.
Fair
people
enough.
do.
I mean, I should probably stop.
I think we're all going to get off it eventually.
I argue with people who I'm never going to meet and who honestly at the end of the day don't give a fuck what I have to say, but I like to do it anyways because I just like to get my points out. That's why I'm going to do this now.
Just fired up to be here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a keyboard warrior on Instagram. I love to reply to comments and shit. So anyway, someone was saying how he's going to be better than the best Maple Leaf at this current present time, which is Jason Spezza. And you know, I said, listen, Spezza was making $700K last year for the Leafs, and and he was one of our better players throughout at least the playoffs and even in the season.
Had a great season.
And I said, but we signed him at $700K when he was like 36 or 37 years old. And I said, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to be 34, 35 years old. Maybe, I don't remember how old he is now. I think he's 28 or 29.
I think he's a little bit younger than us.
Anyway, so I was just saying, like, yeah, if you know, Nuge can't do what Spezza does when he's 34 years old, then who's going to want to pay him $5.5 million to do that when people were paying Spezza $700K to do that? So I don't know. I just feel like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to be sort of a bottom six player when he's in his 30s, and I just don't think you're going to want to pay a bottom six player $5.5.
Yeah, but that might not hurt as bad by then. Edmonton,
you're right.
Have won a Stanley Cup by then.
We're not fortune tellers, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, we don't really know how things are going to go.
I highly disagree.
Right now, the contract
you could be wrong.
Yeah, it might hurt a couple years down the line. And I know there's a lot of talk about like the Minnesota, the two guys they just let go. But
yeah, so that's
in those
another
situations. Everyone knew that was going to hurt in the end. The plan was to have won a Stanley Cup by now.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a decade, clearly it didn't work. But
yeah,
that's or almost a decade, I should say. But so for me, I'm not too worried about what it's going to look like 4 or 5 years down the line. I'm looking at right now and saying, you know what, the contract's not that bad. You get a key piece that you need. It's not going to cost you a lot of money.
Okay.
A replacement guy at that skill level might cost you more.
So
I made the argument that he took a hometown discount.
I would agree, actually, potentially. He took the term over the AAV, but also, does your mind change now that they went out and signed Duncan Keith and then they still have like 9 UFAs to sign?
Well, they didn't sign him. They went out and they wanted his money.
They traded him. Sorry,
Yeah.
they traded him.
Well, okay, so I'll say
Traded
this.
for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know that trade did not work. It makes Edmonton look stupid right away.
Yeah.
They got the best player in the deal.
Yeah.
Right.
I will always point out that I think that draft picks are overvalued significantly.
100% agree.
That there's a very low chance that third round pick is going to be as effective as Caleb Jones or Duncan Keith in this situation. And the other player that the Oilers got, it's a total nothing. But when you look at Duncan Keith, if you get him at 75% of his potential and you don't give him heavy minutes, he'll be a good player. Obviously, the key thing is they had the leverage and they didn't use it. And they were like, whoa, what leverage? Come on, Ken Allen. You got to be dumb if you're saying that.
Yeah.
This is one where they got to figure out the goalie situation. This is a team that, you know what, maybe with a good goalie, now we're not talking about we don't have to worry about Mikko Koskinen and guys like that. Like, they'd be in a better situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got to find that out. What are they going to do? Is it Peter Mrazek the answer? I don't think so.
Freddie Anderson
the answer? Legitimately, maybe more. But at the same time, they need to make sure they use those assets in a good way. They've got an okay prospect system. They don't have a lot of prospects that are really like exciting me. Like, yes, they're going to be top 6 players. There truly isn't. I'm still hoping for Tyler Benson though. So again, they didn't look like they used the best. It didn't look like they got the most they possibly could have out of that trade. And the Blackhawks should not have come out as winners. And they already look like that because they get the cap space. Bam. And you know, if Caleb Jones doesn't play well, whatever. The third round pick doesn't turn into anything, whatever.
They got the cap space.
Yeah.
The real key thing is like the 2022 draft is a good one, but it's good at the top 10. After that's kind of unknown. So yeah, right now I'm looking at it and say Edmonton got the better player. Hopefully it works out, but obviously they could have done way more in that trade.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to keep firing off subjects at you. You had just mentioned Freddie Anderson and hometown discounts, so it's got me thinking we should talk about Zach Hyman a little bit. It was reported today, or a story came out in The Athletic with Pierre LeBrun basically saying that, you know, this shouldn't really shock anyone. I'm paraphrasing. This shouldn't really shock anyone, but they're kind of far apart on an agreement here, and that most likely Hyman will go to the market. if Hyman does leave the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I think me and Mike kind of agree on this as well, that we think he's gone. And it's very unfortunate because he's one of the guys you would really want to keep. But that's what you get for giving away all your money too fast. So if Hyman doesn't come back to Toronto, who do you think's got the best chance of landing him? Where can you see him ending up?
I have my own opinions, but we'll discuss.
There's for me, I think a good fit would be Boston because
I can't believe you said that.
I would fucking lose it. I would lose it.
It's funny,
but you're right.
The three teams that come to mind are Boston because they still need secondary scoring.
I'm pissed that they can afford him.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they don't get Taylor Hall, they can at least get something out of it. But at the same time, he's not exactly the play driver out there.
No,
he's a more good complementary player, so they'll still need somebody good. But could you imagine him with Taylor Hall? That'd be an interesting mix. I also think Florida, but of course, Florida did give him away.
They did give him away, yep.
So, but Florida, could you really use a guy like that? Because Florida could use someone who's got that edge, who could be that reliable guy in the middle six and just add to that scoring depth that they need. And then the third one will be the dumping ground for a lot of players this year. We're like, where is this guy going to go? Oh, the Seattle Kraken. But that's because I think he'll get a pretty good role in Seattle right away, where, maybe he's actually like a pretty strong first-line player on that team. So my I don't know if Seattle's a topic you want to talk about, but Seattle, I'm writing about it this week, basically saying Seattle should just suck as much as possible. They should be like the worst team you've ever seen the next 2 years because it will pay off in such a massive way. But for Zach Hyman, he can go out there and be a good player there. It's a shame that it's going to kind of end the way in Toronto. And of course, a couple months ago, people were talking about him making the Olympic team.
Yeah, that was a little what? Yeah.
That's like that. There's not a chance he'd make the Olympic team.
No.
TSN. But that's one where I
maybe
think
if I was the GM,
every team could use a guy like Zach Hyman.
That's what I say.
In the Olympics.
In the Olympics?
Yeah. Oh. No, not in the Olympics.
Oh. I mean, say what you want about the Olympics. I just think players like Zach Hyman are a dime a dozen, or not a dime a dozen. Sorry, they're very rare players, and it seems we get more skilled players in the NHL every year, and not many players like Zach Hyman who pan out to be actual good players like Zach Hyman. So people prioritize the skill players and they forget about these types of players. And I think these are the kinds of players that really will, win championships for teams.
Well, I also think that's kind of where it's kind of a perfect storm for Hyman as a free agent. His market, there's a big market for him, and the Leafs are already squeezed to the cap. Like, they're going to lose him. A team can easily fight the Leafs on this one and squeeze him out. And you can get a guy like that. That's I think all 32 teams, and you didn't mention Seattle, Steven, they would all love to have a guy like Zach Hyman. But we were going to talk to you about Seattle. You just had said that you think they should tank for the next year or two. I mean, there's going to be some pretty decent players available for Seattle to choose. Is there anyone that kind of sticks out in your mind that you think is like an absolute lock going to Seattle?
Well, the longest time was TJ Oshie. Seemed like it.
Yep.
Tyler Johnson, of course, another guy there that definitely seems like it. But for me, because this draft, it feels like it's a bit more wide open than it was in Vegas. Vegas, it's like I think there was at least a good almost 10 players that we knew were probably going to go there.
I felt like Marc-Andre Fleury was a lock to go to Vegas months before.
Like Vegas was like 4 years away from being announced, and it's like he's going to be the first Vegas Golden Knights goalie.
Yeah.
What? Why? But which team were you talking about here? But yeah, so the one thing I'll say about Seattle is this is a team that, if you're looking at the expansion draft, they need to pick a team that will not make them look totally stupid out there. They do need to focus on the future. I think they're going to take as many RFAs as they possibly can.
Wow.
The 2021 draft, none of those players are going to turn the franchise or basically mold them completely. They're probably going to end up with a pretty solid defenseman with their pick. But the big key thing for them is the 2022, 2023 drafts. If you're going to the 2022 draft, if this team sucks and they got a shot at first overall, Shane Wright will change your franchise. The best way I've had a scout explain to me is if Shane Wright is Sidney Crosby and Connor Bedard is Connor McDavid, that's basically what I've been explained as basically how the scouting community views
so which
those
one's
two
better?
Guys. And they've got an opportunity to pick both of them. And if they lose out on those guys, they've got Brad Lambert out of Finland, who's like a Nathan McKinnon clone. And they got Matt Savoy, who's just this untapped talent that just looks outstanding. And then there's 2023, and you got Matvei Michkov available if you don't get Connor Bedard. Well, Matvei Michkov's a few years away from coming over here. I don't know if you guys follow the U18s. This guy like literally almost broke like every record for like an under 17 player in tournament history. And we're talking like Cole Caulfield, Alex Ovechkin levels.
Wow.
This is a guy that pulls off lacrosse goals like it's nothing. He had 14 goals at this tournament this year. I might be wrong exactly, but anyways, he was just outstanding.
Yeah.
He was dominant. He was one of the youngest players in the entire tournament. Mitchkov is going to be so good. And I'd argue Connor Bedard is even better than that. So the 2022-2023 drafts, like when you look in terms of pure talent, there's always like, there's like one good player or like one like star player each year. Alexis Lafreniere, Jack Hughes, those guys were really good players that we knew about for a long time, but they were never going to be the star quality players that were getting the next 2 drafts. So it is in Seattle's best interest to get their best shot at getting those players and not doing the Vegas route. And you know, if you don't go out there and be like as good as Vegas is right away, that's something where the pressure's off on them. And I think that's good for a Seattle team to kind of continue moving forward in a new market. And as long as they make it clear, like we're looking towards the future and not trying to win right away, I do think the Seattle fans will take with that and say, yeah, perfect. Let's do this.
Yeah, you got to imagine that Seattle fans can't be thinking, all right, we saw what Vegas did. We expect the same.
I mean,
go to a cup final year one.
Part of me thinks that is what they're expecting because I feel like
I think
how many
they're a smarter
hockey fans
market.
are there in Seattle?
I think Seattle's a big hockey market. The WHL.
Seattle's a huge hockey market.
Yeah,
they're not going there just because they got a good population.
They know their shit.
I'm thinking Vegas didn't really have much of a hockey market, right? So you know they might not.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other one that's kind of like a thing. Like they actually did do like their ECHL team was quite popular, and while that's just ECHL, they still had a market there that like hockey. Like you would go to like an event there, and you would see hockey on TV. People did care about hockey there, and there's a reason why they sold tickets out so quickly, and a lot of it is the novelty, but it can like part of for there. I think they needed to win quicker than Seattle does, and while Vegas hasn't won the cup this year or yet, like we could call their expansion a pure success. No
Absolutely,
yeah.
But Seattle, I think their success is building a team through the draft over the next couple of years. There's even some names in the 2024 draft and 2025, and quite far away at this point, that are getting some scouts excited right now. And while that is always the case, the 2021 draft is you're not going to change your team off of this draft. It's truly not one of the strongest drafts we've seen. It's one of the weaker drafts we've seen in a long time. The 2022, 2023, just the high-end talent is going to change those franchise around, and that should be the focus, not building a super strong team right now.
Yeah. We're awaiting your U11 scouting report, Steven. So
I've been getting things in my email like, hey, here are the top like 9-year-olds in North America. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like seriously,
they might not like hockey in the next 2 years.
I started playing hockey when I was 8. Like,
you would be on no one's radar.
Anyway, Steven, I got a quick question now that since we were on the topic of Seattle. The Leafs signed Travis Dermott to a 2-year, 1.5 AAV deal. Do you so a lot of people were kind of speculating, oh, he's just going to, that's a good price for Vegas to take him or Seattle to take him. Sorry. I was like, do you think Dubas called Ron Francis and was like, hey, at what price would you want to take Travis Dermott? And he said, I would take him at $1.5 million. And he said, okay, I'll sign him to that. And then you can take him. Do you know if conversations like that are allowed to happen either before, the Stanley Cup playoffs are over? I
think basically what you're asking is if Seattle can make any kind of deals with any other teams.
Yeah, not only Seattle, but can the Leafs, after being booted out of the playoffs and they're trying to figure out who they should sign, who they should let walk, are they allowed to have conversations throughout that and try to plan, who they want to let Seattle take, basically? Do you know?
By league rules, but yes, part of that was kind of the thing in Vegas. It's like a lot of the deals were being made well in advance, and it's like we're making sure this is who's available to you, and this is we're making this guy exposed. Don't take him. The key person in this whole thing, Dave Haxtell. I don't think the Leafs let him go unless they have an agreement, basically saying, okay, here's who you're taking.
Okay, ooh. I didn't even think about
little tinfoil hat. Okay,
and that's why my belief is they're taking Alex Kerfoot. But anyways,
do you think that's who they want him?
They didn't need to sign Dermott.
I think they have to get him off the books.
Wayne Simmons when they did, but those guys in particular, it's like because Simmons obviously isn't the great player he used to be, but he still could bring value to Seattle in a certain way. I think he played a bigger role in Seattle than he would in Toronto, but through there, I think it's one where we'll make these signings. Here's who we're basically telling you to take, and we'll give you our coach.
Right.
And that's why I think they're going to pick basically. So that's my theory.
That's crazy.
That is a good theory. Yeah.
I don't think they signed Dermott when they did if they weren't planning or if there wasn't a deal basically to keep him there.
That's
because I still think Dermott's a good defenseman.
Do you think that's a good? I don't think that's a good deal personally. Like he was making 700 or 850K. He took a pay cut from his previous salary, and he hasn't really done very well. He hasn't done horribly, but like to double his salary for the next 2 years, has he earned it? Do you think? Do you think he will earn it? Tough to say.
It's not a huge increase. Like that's the thing. Yeah,
I mean, it is when you're dealing with the Leafs, who literally have pennies on their salary cap.
I know, but that didn't.
I think they still believe in him.
Contract.
They still believe in him. Yeah.
When I saw the contract, it didn't bother me really. I'm not too concerned about that contract. The thing is, like, is Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Logan, are they ready to go?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
and
that's the question. Fucking better be.
Like maybe they're like maybe that's a contract that you could still trade pretty easily,
right?
But I don't think this is the guy that they're going to be losing there in the expansion draft. Not that contract. It doesn't excite me or scare me away.
It's just like a nothing. It's just like okay. That
it's
makes
a contract.
Sense. Yeah, exactly.
A couple more things before we get you out of here, Steven. Speaking of contracts, it's been reported in the last day or so now, maybe even shorter than that, that the Avalanche and their captain Gabriel Landeskog are kind of like Zach Hyman, but this seems a little bit more intense. They're not even close on a new deal. Do you think Colorado finds a way to get this done? Have you heard anything, or what do you think is going to happen here?
They better. Because this is a team where they need to keep building because they're not
they're very close. Yep.
True Stanley Cup champions, and losing a guy like Landeskog. Granted, Landeskog has missed a lot of time through injury, so that's what I'm assuming Colorado is kind of using as like we don't want to sign you for this much because if you miss like half the season, which is a very real possibility when it comes to Landeskog. So I think there's that factor for sure. But that's a guy that's going to be really hard to replace. As good as Colorado is, they're not going to have a forward come in and kind of fill his spot within the depth chart. They would have to go out there and sign somebody else. And I just don't think that's the case where they're going to be able to get the value. So Landeskog in Colorado, like that should be a priority, but I think Colorado or Landeskog's group knows that. Like they're basically holding them hostage. Hey, you need me to be the contender. You can't lose me. And when it comes to being a captain, a guy who's that important to the team, clearly that's not someone they want to lose. So
do you think
they can't let him go? That would be a huge mistake and would set them back a little bit unless they were able to really get something great out of free agency. And I don't think that's what they're going to be able to do. So Colorado's got to be careful here because again, Landeskog's group has the leverage in this situation.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think replacing Landeskog with like a Zach Hyman would work for them? He's obviously not the same caliber of player, but
it's a replacement, but it's not going to really, I don't think it moves the needle to the point where like, oh yeah, now they're going to go win the Stanley Cup. Right. They're still like, they still need their goalie situation, I think firmly.
So I believe that as well. Like, I think they need a better goalie situation to do anything. Personally.
Like Grubauer could be there, but get a better backup.
Right.
Get someone you can rely on a nightly basis.
Right.
That Grubauer's going out, and you're not like, oh shit, who's the guy tonight? And it's Devin Dubnyk or you're saying
Frank Coos.
You need a guy who's ready to go. And who could be a better goalie. And that's why my theory is they're going to try and make a big run at Chris Driedger. But we'll see about that. Like that, every team's going to be making a run at him specifically, and he can use that to his own leverage. I'm curious to see which team ends up overpaying for him.
I agree.
But Colorado's a place to go right now. Like that's if you're a free agent and you want a shot at the Stanley Cup, that's one of the teams that you want to be on. And they need just the one extra piece. Let's see what happens. I think also like I wouldn't be totally shocked if Marc-Andre Fleury truly is on the market. That Colorado isn't saying like, hey, like we're making a run for it here, especially if they lose Landeskog. And they say, you know what? If Grubauer and Fleury are two goalies, like you're not going to lose a lot of games because you're goaltending. So again, we'll have to see on that one, but they got to be careful because the Nathan McKinnon signed a really inexpensive contract, partly so they could be a competitive team. Right. And if they just kind of throw that all away, that's going to be pretty disappointing.
That's going to hurt. You mentioned one piece being away. Do you think one of those pieces could be one of Zach Parise and or Ryan Suter if they have any interest in going to contender? Because look, if I was one of them, and obviously I'm not, and I'm not going to tell people what to do with money, but they're getting paid a boatload from Minnesota for the next 6-7 years, however long it is. Obviously it's in increments, but you got to think if you're one of those guys, you would take less money to go try and be on a contending team, right? Like if you're Ryan Suter, what's to turn you away from going to Colorado on a 2-year deal at like $1.5 million a year, knowing you're still getting paid like $8 million from Minnesota, right?
Well, because that's the thing. While yes, I also do think like a guy like Suter, like he still has value. Like he's
Absolutely.
not a bad defenseman.
No,
he still played heavy minutes. It just they needed that cap.
That contract, dude, is terrible.
Parise's contract was worse.
Yeah,
even though the same money, I think Parise's was worse because he truly never really lived up to what he could do. So Parise, I think would be more likely, and you stick him on your third line, and I think good. You know what? He might go out there and actually get 35 points next year on a cheap salary. That works. Ryan Suter, I don't think would be a fit for Colorado just because they do have a lot of good defensemen, and like they got Bowen Byram. They got to give him more ice time too, and having a guy like Ryan Suter wouldn't really kind of help in that situation. So, Ryan Suter, I'm convinced is going to go to a contender no matter what. As to which contender that is,
I don't even know. I don't know who the hell is a contender anymore and who's not a contender anymore, dude. So like, I would love to have a conversation about the Leafs with you, and it would take hours, so I don't even want to get involved. I don't even want to start that.
No, we're running out of time.
Yeah, I mean,
so like Colorado, I think would Parise be a good fit there. I don't think we're going to see Ryan Suter there.
Yeah, fair enough. Was it pretty much a given that Dominic Ducharme and Luke Richardson were going to get extended for 3 years? And do you think that they're actually going to live out to play those contracts entirely?
That's a good question. There's a lot that has changed in Montreal.
Yeah.
Like there was pretty much no chance that Bergevin was going to do his final year of his contract, and ta-da, he's back. And all of a sudden they got the coach and they got the assistant coach. I thought Ducharme should have been a coach a couple of years ago. So it's good that he finally got that. Luke Richardson, a lot of people are saying like, oh, maybe he deserves an NHL coaching job. Again, he only had a couple games to kind of really show. Yeah. If anyone's going to be gone first, I actually do think it's Richardson. I think maybe we're talking next year. Richardson is looking for an NHL coaching job, but that coaching situations are always hard to really tell.
Yeah.
In terms of the Canadiens, I really hope that the team isn't expecting another long playoff run like that, because could be dangerous for this team moving forward. They still they didn't obviously luck their way into where they got, but they didn't necessarily if you look at all the metrics, did they really deserve to be there? I don't really think we can say yes. I mean, but they got there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happens.
Exactly.
So let's see. But I do think Ducharme is going to be there for a couple of years. You got to build with him, and the next change you make might be the GM.
Yeah.
The Bergevin got in the final 3 GM situation. I'm not sure how. I don't know if many people can fully explain that one, but that's one where, the coaching really the coaching actually, if you look at the stats, weren't necessarily better after Claude Julien.
They weren't at all.
One of the key things really there was Sean Burke getting hired and Carey Price's stats going up way.
Right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. I remember that.
When I did look at the numbers, and Burke with Burke there, Carey Price's numbers were day and night different,
100%,
completely different.
Agreed.
And that I think was one of the key things there, not necessarily the coaching change, but because if you look at Ducharme's numbers were not actually outstanding by any means, but he coached the team to the Stanley Cup final. So, Luke Richardson also kind of
he had a little cup of coffee involved in that one.
That was pretty funny.
You make a great point. Sean Burke might have ended up being their best move this entire year after the whole offseason they went through. But we know you got to run, so we'll get you out of here on that. The best part about it is we know September and October is actually not that far away. A little depressing because the nice weather is going to be leaving us, but we're going to have you back on around then in time for the NHL season. Once Seattle has their team, everything is shaping up nicely for October. We'll get you back, you guys. You can check him out on Twitter at Stephen Ellis, THN. Stephen Ellis from the Hockey News, friend of the show. Give him the horns, and we'll talk to you again later.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed that interview with Stephen Ellis. Kind of threw me off there a little bit. Okay, now quickly, you don't have an Apple Watch, do you? This just happened to me on the fly. So here, perfect improvisation. What is it? It's a text. Okay.
Why? What did you?
I didn't see this. So I thought it was an ad that just popped out
on your fucking
popped up. Yeah. So this is what I saw. Just that. Yeah. Right. But I didn't see the text underneath. So I scrolled up. I don't
like that.
And it's a text, and it just says Firehouse, the chicken Euro sub. Euro. Is that how you say it?
It's Euro.
We still have to do a Mike's Greek School segment, by the way.
I should prepare some words.
It's Euro.
In honor of my late Yaya.
Yes.
That would be awesome, actually.
Absolutely.
That'd be so funny. We'll do a little Greek lessons. I'm still learning myself, so.
We should do that. But anyway, it ended up being an image, a text.
Dude, that's so fucked. They
But I thought it was an ad that just popped up on my watch.
Are they just openly advertising on just a text message you get, and then we'll just throw an ad up there?
No. It was a text from my mother.
From Firehouse?
No, from my mother. Saying,
including the Firehouse promotion.
The image. Okay. And I didn't see that. And I was like, fuck, dude. Who's sending? How am I getting this ad?
I would have been pissed.
Because it said, hey, want to try this? I was like, no, Apple, Siri, I don't.
Stop listening to my conversations. I know you know I'm hungry, but fuck off. Straight up.
Exactly.
Dude, that creeped me the fuck out.
That creeped me out too.
I would throw that shit away if that was just a random ad. I'm glad it's a text message.
I'm very relieved. Very relieved.
That kind of freaked me out a little bit.
You think that would be a big science fact?
I was just about to say, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but I love them. I do love them. I don't necessarily believe in them, but I just enjoy them as a form of entertainment. So it wouldn't surprise me if our world ended up like Altered Carbon, where everything is virtual, and you got these ads just popping up in your face constantly all the time, and you just gotta delete.
Remember Black Mirror?
Yeah, Black Mirror.
There was one of the episodes. What's the actor's name from?
The guy from Get Out.
Yeah,
I forget.
What is his name?
British guy.
But
love him.
He's been in a bunch of shit, and he's an unbelievable actor.
That Black Mirror episode was great, though.
Yeah,
where he's riding the bike. Is that the one?
They ride the bike, and their currency, it's like credits.
Their currency is how much
like Bitcoin. It's invisible currency.
It's like how much you put in.
Yeah, but he had been, and they're like in this. It seems like a detention center. It seems like they're almost there against the world. First of all, if you guys haven't seen Black Mirror,
it's great.
Free plug, Black Mirror, Netflix. Go check it out. Unbelievable show.
It'll bend your mind like nothing has bent your mind before.
Yeah.
Black Mirror, that episode specifically. So my takeaway from it was it's like a post-apocalyptic world where on the surface of the earth, it's like either destroyed or too much radiation or too hot for them to live up there.
They're in a vault, yeah.
So they have to go really far deep underground. And that's where they're all living. And to power where they're living,
this is like the plot of Fallout, the video game, which is like my favorite franchise. So, yeah.
So they have these bikes where, you're paid in a currency that is based upon how much energy input you provide for this group of people.
Yeah.
So, the fit people are sitting there biking and they're really rich, and people like me would probably be suffering down in like the slums or something like that. So super, super interesting episode. It's about climbing up that ladder, saving up your currencies. A lot of people spend them on stupid shitty porn that's like virtual pornography.
Well, that's where I was going with this, because this is how improvisation works. We go off the rails. This is all going back to me thinking of that episode where he has so much money, ends up giving it away to a girl. Spoiler alert. Right. Go watch the show. It came out like 5 years ago.
I remember. You're right.
But he spends his money when he's trying to watch that. I forget what it's like, a talent show.
It's like an America's Got Talent, except
but ads pop up and they cost money to skip the ads. Like imagine on YouTube, every time you saw skip this ad, skip ad, now you have to wait 5 seconds. But if you had to pay, let's call it the equivalent of $2 every time to skip an ad, if you were rich, you'd probably be like just doing it. But like ads are popping up everywhere, and they even incorporated that into the Black Mirror episode. Yeah, so
super.
That's how we got off the rails on that one.
Really, really interesting episode.
Yeah,
lots of them are like that. Lots of them will blow your fucking mind.
Yeah,
so.
Just blew my fucking mind. Harold and Kumar.
Full circle, everyone.
You are a hater.
Oh, that is the wrong sound clip.
Why? What did I do?
But we'll just jump right into it. Everyone, the people's favorite.
Something smells good.
Magnets.
Big science.
Oh,
you smell food, eh?
You're a scientist.
What do you think? What do you think she's making down there?
I don't know. She was super excited to show me the pasta salad she made. The pasta salad.
Pasta.
Yeah. We're Italian. We say pasta, and that's that's very white, so she says pasta.
Pasta. Hate that. Just hate
Pasta.
the way it sounds. Let's roll across the bottom.
Where are we?
Number 7. Chalk is made from trillions of microscopic plankton fossils.
You take it away, buddy.
Okay.
It's a long one.
It is a long one. Tiny single-celled algae called... What the hell is this? That's not what they're called.
Coccolithophores.
Okay. Tiny single-celled algae called coccolithophores, that's probably totally wrong, have lived in the Earth's ocean for 200 million years. Unlike any other marine plant, they surrounded themselves with minuscule plates of calcite or coccoliths. Just under 100 million years ago, conditions were just right for the coccolithophores to...
Coccolithophores. I'm not going to lie to you.
It says
there.
cocoa.
I think it's coco.
Coccolithophores to accumulate in a thick layer coating ocean floors in a white ooze. As further sediment built up on top, the pressure compressed the coccoliths, the cockolides to form rock, creating chalk deposits such as White Cliffs of Dover. Cliffs of Dover, isn't that a
great
place
song.
like in Ireland?
It is.
Cliffs
but
of Dover.
It's also a Guitar Hero song.
It is very tough. Coccolithophores are just one of many prehistoric species that have been immortalized in fossil form. But how do we know how old they are, you might ask? Over time, rock forms in horizontal layers, leaving older rocks at the bottom and younger rocks near the top. That is correct. By studying the type of rock in which a fossil is found, paleontologists can roughly guess its age. Carbon dating estimates a fossil's age more precisely based on the rate of decay of radioactive elements such as carbon-14.
Yeah, so I remember when I took chemistry and biology, we learned about the half-life and the decay rates of like certain either like carbon dating. Like we learned how carbon dating works, and at the time it made a lot of sense. Now, if I were to try to explain it, I would have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. That being said, I had no idea chalk was some form of fossil and was, you know, I didn't think there was this much science that went into chalk. I mean, we used to use
for real,
it.
dude.
I mean, I used to fucking...
Coccolithophores.
I mean, in elementary school, I used to take like full boxes of those chalks. Like they would, you know, they'd come in nice long chalk pieces, and I would break them and shit just for fun because they were great. Like it was just fun to drop them and see them shatter.
Shatter like glass, yeah.
I mean, it's just, I would have never thought it was coming from the white ooze on the floor of the ocean.
I honestly love this segment because I say it after every one. I have no idea what the hell I'm reading, but I learn something every single time. Like,
I just don't get it though. Like, how long has chalk been
I didn't want to
used?
say because I don't get it either.
How long has chalk
used? Oh.
How long has chalk been used? Because I feel like whiteboard or blackboards have been around for generations.
Pioneer Village.
Right. Exactly. I remember that. You know, they drew the circle on with the chalkboard, and then they made you stick your nose in it. So, like, how are they getting to the bottom of the ocean floor and grabbing this chalk? Or is it not on the ocean anymore? And does it just look like a mountain, like a fucking... What?
Yeah, see, I don't even know what that is. I don't know. History of blackboard and chalkboard. History of blackboard, chalk, and whiteboard. History and future.
Calcium carbon.
So we just rate that later in the 20th century. So what's technically the 20th century?
Materials, dry erase. So they're getting into dry erase whiteboard shit. I mean,
we might not be able to find that.
I just want to know, like, you know, is chalk today still made that way? I can fucking bet you $1 million it's not, because that sounds like way too much money to just be wasting it writing on a blackboard.
Yeah.
Like, who's going?
I don't think they even have those anymore, dude.
Blackboards?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
it's like a new trend though. Like
what are those smart boards?
Yeah, they have the smart boards and they have whiteboards and then they have
computers.
Computers, yeah, but like it's like a trendy hipster thing these days, you know, trendy hipster roasters, you know, espresso coffees, Improv 25, Bean Bundle, go fucking try it out. It's fucking dope. But they have those blackboard posters that people are starting to put up in their house, and they're writing stupid inspirational messages and shit like, you know, be your best self, or Carpe Diem, seize the day. Fucking Louis Litt from
Louis Litt. Oh my god,
Suits.
I haven't watched that show in a long time.
Classic Louis Litt. The guy's a fucking legend. He's also that dickhead driving the car in Big Fat Liar. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie with Frankie Muniz when he turns.
No,
Paul
can't
Jr.
say I'm the biggest Frankie Muniz fan.
Oh, you're fuck you, buddy.
I mean, with Malcolm in the Middle, no? Frankie Muniz?
Yeah, Big
Walt.
Fat Liar. He's from All That. He's from The Amanda Show.
All
I don't know
That.
if he was actually in The Amanda Show.
I don't think he was in All That.
He wasn't in All That. I could be
Really?
wrong. You're right. I could be wrong.
The cast of All That. That was a great
totally
show.
Be wrong. That was a fucking sick show. Amanda Show was better.
It was a skit show, wasn't it? It was like a teenage SNL.
Yeah. Oh, Nick Cannon.
I remember Kenan Thompson. Yeah.
Same. There's Amanda
I
Bynes.
remember this guy.
Danny Tamborelli.
Look,
Jamie Lynn Spears.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Still in the news to this day. Gabriel Iglesias was on the show.
I did not know that either. Look at that. This is like a child SNL.
Yeah. I mean, Drake Bell. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, that guy's in jail.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
You're having cake. Drake Bell's in jail?
Yeah.
For what?
From Drake and Josh.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. 2 days ago. Sentenced to 2 years in prison.
That guy looks so familiar. Yeah, bro.
Little JJ. Yeah. This guy looks familiar too. Kyle Sullivan. Drake Bell sentenced to 2 years probation in child endangerment case. Sorry. Drunk driving. Yeah.
No, he fucking was like hitting up underage girls on Instagram.
Over Zoom. Oh, Drake, what are you doing? You're 35 from Newport Beach, California.
I mean, that's probably how he was groomed
meters.
from this shit.
Yeah, I mean, child stars.
Keep going. Who else? That dude looks familiar too. Denzel Whitaker.
Chris Farley was on All That.
Oh shit.
Man, I wonder if we can find old episodes.
Wow,
of All
JoJo
That.
Siwa.
But yeah, like Drake Bell committing crimes.
Not Frankie Muniz though. So
I was gonna say he might be one of the rare child stars that kind of like got out alive, quote unquote.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know what he's doing these days. He probably has a normal job, or he's
Frankie
an alcoholic.
Muniz?
I don't know.
What do you? If you had to put your money on one of them, what do you think it is?
I'm guessing he's like an investment banker or something. I don't know. I just feel like I haven't heard from him. He's not in the press ever.
Oh, Francisco James Muniz IV is an American actor, race car driver, and musician. Best known for playing Malcolm in the Middle. What's he doing these days? When do you think is the last time he did something? Let's check out his IMDb here.
Great call. Look, Big Fat Liar.
Yeah, but look at his hits. 2000.
Let's see if Lewis lit. Is Lewis lit in? Oh, Agent Cody Banks. You never watched My Dog Skip? Classic.
Oh, dude, no. Oh, he's in a TV series this year, but before that, he was in Harley Quinn, 2019.
Oh, he does voice acting. It sounds. Look,
Sharknado.
No shit, eh? Sharknado. What a classic flick.
That is awesome. Frankie Muniz.
Oh, so maybe he just sucks at acting and doesn't get jobs anymore then, because Sharknado is like literally the worst franchise that ever existed. It's so bad, it's good. It's like The Room.
I literally The Room.
Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark.
I didn't hit her. I didn't. Stop. Oh, hi, Mark. We'll throw that one up as well. All right, Mike, maybe we'll leave it there. You alluded to Bean Bundle, our sponsor. BeanBundle.com, promo code Improv25. Go check them out. Fresh and different roasters delivered.
25. Improv 25.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard the ad read last week from Harry Potter Puppet Pals, I believe it was.
Yes.
What is that mysterious ticking noise?
Yeah, it was the ticking noise, the mysterious ticking noise.
So go check out Bean Bundle. They're great. Great coffee if you guys are coffee lovers. All types of coffee, espresso, whatever. Go to the website, check it out, Improv25. Thanks everyone for listening and watching today's episode. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'm going to stall because I don't have the soundboard set up.
Oh, true. I didn't know what you were doing there either.
If you haven't already, leave a nice rating or review or don't. We don't care. Hit us up on social media at Improversation Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Improversation P on Twitter. And as we leave you, take care and
Comb your beard. It's important.